Hello and welcome to Ref Sports. This is a very special conversation during the T20 World Cup, and we have known that this World Cup belongs to the smaller teams, smaller nations punching above their weights. And now I welcome to you a very special player from Zimbabwe, the star player Ryan Burl. Ryan, welcome to Ref Sports, and thank you so much for taking time out for this.
No, thank you. Nice to have a chat, and always a pleasure.
Ryan, how has been the experience in this T20 World Cup in Australia? I mean, of course, the rain, the weather is unpredictable there at the moment, but Zimbabwe have played some great cricket. So, how has been the experience so far for you?
Well, the experience has been awesome. I think it just goes to show, that these kind of tournaments can kind of bring the best out of players and bring the best out of teams. And it's awesome spectacle for us to all put on a show and just kind of show class the world what talents are out there. No, it's been really good fun, and we obviously haven't disappointed in terms of putting smiles on fans' faces and stuff. But there's still a couple of games to go for pretty much every team. So we obviously got to fight hard and make sure we keep doing well.
And it has been the last few months have been so good for Zimbabwe. I mean, we all remember your shoe tweet that went viral, and since then your rise, Zimbabwe's rise. How would you describe that?
Yeah, I think the last 3-4 months have kind of been quite meteoric. We've obviously been doing really well. The guys have got a lot of confidence. The morale in the camp's really good. And yeah, long may it continue. Hopefully we can just keep putting our best foot forward.
Yes, we all focus on the positives, the wins and remarkable cricket that Zimbabwe have played. But you are 28 now, perhaps speaking at the right moment. But I would like you to go back behind a bit and talk us through about your journey, how the struggling phase. So how tough was that for you?
Yeah, I think obviously, initially kind of starting out of my career, it was a little bit frustrating for me personally because, my whole life I've kind of batted at number 3 or 4. So then coming into the national team, with the likes of Brendan Taylor, Hamilton Masakadza, Sean Williams, Craig Irvin, Sikandar Raza, there wasn't really a spot for me up at the top of the order. So me making my debut, and I've kind of since then evolved in being, a middle order batter coming in at around 6 or 7. So at the beginning, I wasn't really, overly impressed or happy about it. But, at the end of the day, I just wanted to play for my country. And then not long after that, obviously having quite a few injuries and surgeries and stuff like that, there's been the ups and downs. But no, obviously, things have been going well recently. And, like I said, hopefully long may that continue.
Absolutely, and when you have joined us, we have to talk about that Australia match where you picked up 5 wickets. For those guys who are watching this interview, go to Ryan Burl's Twitter account and see that pin tweet. You will know how special was that. Although it was an ODI, Ryan, but that performance must have given you a lot of confidence, and Zimbabwe as well, because them winning against Australia in Australia, although it was an ODI match, but still a remarkable achievement.
Yeah, 100%. I think, kind of taking a fifer in any format or against any opposition for that matter, it kind of means a lot. But when you take it against one of the best teams in the world, some big scalps there, it obviously boosts the confidence a hell of a lot, and it was really special. So it's something I'll remember for a long time.
Absolutely, and we, like, as a neutral fans, whoever watched that particular game, they will remember your performance and Zimbabwe's performance without a shadow of doubt. Ryan, I'll come to you about that high against Pakistan, then the low against Bangladesh. I mean, you almost pulled off that match for Bangladesh against Bangladesh single-handedly. You must be feeling gutted about that match because it went to the last ball. Again, that drama. I mean, you guys were handshaking. What was the feeling? Talk us about that as well.
Like you said, obviously absolutely gutted. And it's something that we kind of, we don't want to probably ponder on it too much. We just want to make sure we kind of get over it. Because like I said, there's still 2 more games to go in the tournament. And they're kind of must-win games for us. I think obviously the most disappointing thing is kind of knowing that, if we had kind of won that game, it would have most likely given us the best chance possible of getting into a semi-final of a World Cup, which we haven't been able to do. So just knowing that we could have kind of created that history, at the time it was obviously very frustrating myself being at the non-strikers end, knowing that I couldn't really do much, just that sense of being helpless was a bit frustrating, but that's cricket. Those things happen. Sometimes, those things are out of our control. But yeah, I think ultimately, obviously, our fielding kind of let us down, just kind of letting, too many runs go through. And instead of chasing, maybe 125, 130, that was the difference between chasing 150 and not crossing the line. But like I said, we've got 2 more games, so we'll get over it. It's a learning experience. If you don't kind of experience those things, then you don't learn from it. So we'll take it as a learning experience and move forward.
Right, and you just said that it's all about learning process. And coming to that learning process, I mean, Zimbabwe haven't played the big teams much. Not like Zimbabwe, Ireland. They have played some good cricket, but frequently when it comes to bilateral series, you guys don't play against India, England, Australia pretty frequently. Do you think that should be one norm going forward? Perhaps tri-nation series, bringing the likes of Zimbabwe, Ireland, Scotland into the scheme of things?
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I think what this tournament has kind of showed is that the gap between the big teams and the smaller or lesser known teams is very, very marginal. And everyone knows that in T20, it can kind of go anyone's day. It just takes 1 or 2 guys to come off and win it for their country. And so with that being said, it would be really nice, if we could have more frequently organized bilaterals or tri-series against the big teams. And kind of just knowing that we can play them regularly, share those memories and experience those moments, not just at World Cups, but also in those series. So hopefully going forward, that's something that can happen. Would like something to be done. Because at the end of the day, obviously for the fans, everyone will want to watch their favorite players testing themselves against the best.
Of course, and I'll have to ask you about this because you recently signed up in the Bangladesh Premier League for select franchisee. But Ryan, coming to you, Zimbabwe are producing some good players, good talented players. Blessing Muzarbani is there. Yourself is there. Sikandar Raza, I mean, he has to be one of the hottest prospects in the world right now. Do you think now is the right step for the franchisees in IPL to look up for Zimbabwean players as well? Because last I remember it was, I guess, Tatenda Taibu who played in the IPL.
I think there's no better opportunity than now for some of us to kind of put our hands up and get picked in those those kind of caliber leagues. It's the annoying thing is that it's only now that kind of we've played the ICC T20 World Cups that people are now all of a sudden paying attention. And like we were saying earlier, it would be nice if we can play those teams regularly, and then the world would notice that there's nothing different from last year than this year. It's just now that it's a case that we're actually playing teams and we're at the World Cup that it's showing people our caliber. It would be really nice for some of those teams to kind of put their hands up and pick us and let us continue to showcase to the world what talents we do have.
Absolutely. I mean, I have followed Zimbabwean cricket, the lesser cricketing nations, I would say, pretty closely. And I must have to say that Zimbabwe at this moment, Zimbabwe and Ireland, two teams I feel have some great talent up there. And if the scouts can, watch them regularly, then of course you yourself, Sean Williams, have been playing for long. Chakabwa, I feel, is one of the quickest, fastest wicketkeeper at this moment. And then we know Blessing and Sikandar Raza as well. But Ryan, I'll have to ask you about this particular player, Sikandar Raza. How good is he? How good is he? The backbone of the Zimbabwean team right now, but he can't do anything wrong at this moment, right?
Yeah, it seems like everything he's touching is turning into gold. I think he should probably go and buy a lottery ticket. He might win. I'm not surprised at all with how he's been performing in this World Cup. He's an extremely hard worker, and his work ethic, behind the scenes is really, really high. So he deserves all the credit and everything that's coming his way. He really does deserve it. So I'm really happy for him.
And my final 2 questions for you, Ryan. What's next for Ryan Burl? I mean, after the T20 World Cup, how are you looking at your career? What do you want to achieve? What are your ambitions heading into the the late 20s and early 30s? What are you aiming? What's your aim in your cricketing career?
I think personally, just making sure that I continue winning games for Zimbabwe, and ideally, you did mention it a little bit earlier, but trying to ensure that we're doing well on the international stage that allows us to play in those T20 leagues. Because I believe firmly that when you're playing in those leagues, you get to share the dressing rooms with a lot of different players from different countries, and you can just learn and experience so much more. So obviously playing in a few other leagues would be really, really nice. And like I said, winning games for your country is obviously always going to be a good goal.
And one last question before I let you go, Ryan. Your World Cup finalist prediction. Of course, Zimbabwe are still in the contention, but if I have to ask you about the two finalists and one team you think can go all the way, then who would it be? And I am not, and you can't pick Zimbabwe here.
If I'd have to pick one team, do I get one or two?
Two. Okay, I'll give you two options, right?
Okay. To be honest, I think there's no better time than South Africa winning a World Cup. They've got four really, really good seamers, and the likes of De Kock and Rousseau being in such good form. I think there's no better time for them. And then you can never rule out India. Obviously, one of the greats. So I'll probably say those two teams, if I'm honest.
Absolutely, Ryan. One final question. I'll add this one. Zimbabwean fans, we have seen them coming up to the stadium, cheering for you guys, and back home we have seen videos posted by Zimbabwe Cricket. How good have been they, and any message you want to pass on to them before the last two matches of your T20 World Cup campaign?
I just want to say thank you so much. Honestly, at some of the grounds, it's felt like we were playing at home at some of the stadiums. That's how good the support has been. And if possible, if you're in Australia, please make sure you guys buy some air tickets and get to the ground wherever we are playing. It's been honestly awesome, and thank you so much.
I'll perhaps remove this part in the editing, but I'll have to ask you about Pakistan, Mr. Bean as well. That went viral. You guys saw that tweet by the Zimbabwean fan?
It was very strange because it kind of took us back to, I think it was around 2016 or 2017 when it actually happened. We didn't pay too much attention to it, but I do remember it causing absolute chaos when the Pak bean did arrive in Zimbabwe, and it was also in the middle of the city, so it did cause some chaos. But no, that obviously resurfacing and then seeing both our president and the Pakistan Prime Minister tweeting about it, that was pretty funny. That was just something that you don't really obviously see, too often in the social media, so it was pretty cool.
Must have cracked a few boys up in the dressing room, I must say. That was absolutely good banter, I would say.
The memes and everything on social media was hilarious. It was so funny.
Absolutely, that's a good note to end this interview. Thank you so much, Ryan, for taking time out for this, and we wish you all the best, and Zimbabwean cricket all the best in the future.
Thanks so much for your time, bud. Take care.